The Activision Blizzard Q3 2019 earnings conference call. At this time, I'd like to turn the conference over to Chris Hickey, Senior Vice President of Investor Relations. Please go ahead, sir.
Oh, God.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us
This
today
company's
for Activision
dead,
Blizzard's
man.
third quarter 2019 conference call.
Oh, good.
With us are Bobby Kotick,
It's dead.
CEO, Cody Johnson, COO and President, and Dennis Durkin, Company CFO and President of Emerging Businesses. And for Q&A, Rob Kostic, President of Activision, J. Allen Brack, President of Blizzard Entertainment,
That's Bobby.
and Herman Saknini, President of King, will also join us.
Okay.
I would like to remind everyone that during this call we will be making statements that are not historical facts. The forward-looking statements in this presentation are based on information available to the company as of the date of this presentation, and while we believe them to be true, they ultimately may prove to be incorrect. A number of factors could cause
So
the
they
company's
lying,
actual
man.
future results and other future circumstances
They
to
lying.
differ materially from those expressed in any forward-looking statements. These include the risk factors discussed in our SEC filings, including our 2018 annual report on Form 10-K, and those on the slide that is showing. The company undertakes no obligation to release publicly any revisions to any forward-looking statements to reflect events or circumstances after today, November 7th, 2019. We will present both GAAP and non-GAAP financial measures during this call. We provide non-GAAP financial measures which exclude the impact of expenses related to stock-based compensation,
Of course.
the amortization of intangible assets and expenses related to acquisitions, including legal fees, costs,
You can see if she
expenses,
get my
and
suit
accruals,
for this.
expenses related to debt financings and refinancings, restructuring and related charges,
Absolutely.
the associated tax benefit of these excluded
Very
items,
true.
and significant discrete tax-related items, including amounts related to changes in tax laws, amounts related to the potential or final resolution of tax positions, and other unusual or unique tax-related items and activities.
Speaking of
These
taxes,
non-GAAP
please
measures are
trade
not
me gold
intended to
if
be
you have any extra
considered
gold.
in isolation from, as a substitute for, or superior to our GAAP results. We encourage investors to consider all measures before making an investment decision. Please refer to our earnings release, which is posted on www.activisionblizzard.com for a
That's a lot
full
of
GAAP to
Ws.
non-GAAP reconciliation and further explanation with respect to our non-GAAP measures. There's also an earnings presentation which you can access with the webcast and which will be posted to the website following the call. In addition, we will also be posting a financial overview highlighting both GAAP and non-GAAP results. And now, I'd like to introduce our CEO, Bobby Kotick.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you all for joining us today. Our third quarter results exceeded our prior outlook for both revenue and earnings per share as we made continued progress on our growth initiatives for 2020 and beyond.
Classic WoW.
For the fourth quarter, we've decided to increase investment in consumer marketing and user acquisition as we aspire to reach more players in more countries
it's Christmas,
on more
dude.
platforms than ever before.
Bobby, quit playing games on
Our
us.
recent success with Call of Duty
Duh.
highlights the potential for our portfolio of fully owned intellectual property. Call of Duty Mobile is experiencing one of the industry's most successful launches ever. In extending Call of Duty to the largest and fastest growing platform, we've more than tripled the
talking about
franchise's
mobile.
reach with over 100 million downloads in the first month alone. The game reached the top of the install charts in over 150 countries and regions, reflecting Call of Duty's global stature, and monetization is off to a strong start, with the game entering the top 10 grossing charts in over 100 countries and regions.
Man,
On console and PCs too, Modern Warfare is off to an exceptional start, and we have more surprises in store that we think will delight existing and new players in the coming months.
delight
We
them.
plan to take
Yeah,
Call
we'll
of
see
Duty
about that.
fandom to new levels with the launch of the Call of Duty League in late January.
Oh, God.
So far, we have secured 12 fantastic team owners who bring deep operational and entrepreneurial expertise as they prepare for games in cities around the world now. These ownership groups include some of the biggest names in professional sports,
Oh, my
and
God.
10 of them have already enjoyed success with us.
Oh,
on the
my
Overwatch League.
God.
In fact, the Overwatch League recently completed a remarkable second season.
We
that
need
saw
another
over
league.
30% growth in U.S. average minute audience. We couldn't be better positioned as we continue
FaZe
to execute
Atlanta.
on our vision and strategy.
Can't you guys wait?
For amateur and professional esports. The phenomenal response to World of Warcraft Classic in the quarter also illustrates the vast potential and enduring appeal of our fully owned franchises across the company.
Yeah.
Celebrating the
Yeah.
15th anniversary of World of Warcraft and the 25th anniversary of the Warcraft franchise,
Yeah.
WoW Classic brought millions of players back to the game.
Wow.
And Blizzard has the resources, talent, and pipeline
Wow.
to continue delivering great content for World of Warcraft players into 2020 and
That's
beyond.
you.
At BlizzCon last week, we gave Blizzard players a preview of some of the superb content in our pipeline. We expect the innovations on display across World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Overwatch, and Diablo to inspire Blizzard players and expand Blizzard communities.
Great.
And we expect Blizzard to deliver the consistent business growth that we know is possible in an industry with so many opportunities.
Absolutely.
King continued to lead the way in mobile gaming. Candy Crush was, again, the #1 grossing game on the U.S. mobile app stores in the third quarter. And the team is hard at work on new features and content that we expect to drive further growth for the franchise in coming years. Our in-game advertising initiatives delivered exceptional results again. Advertising net bookings within King almost double year over year, and we're now starting to apply our capabilities in this area to Call of Duty Mobile and certain other properties across the company.
So it's just a matter of time.
For the continued focus and extraordinary efforts of our employees.
Garrosh is going to be wearing Nikes soon.
We appreciate the ongoing support of our shareholders, and we have deep gratitude for our players and spectators who derive an incredible sense of purpose, meaning, and belonging.
Behind every Cloud Serpent's an advert, you know?
Through our franchise.
It's going to be great.
Our mission to bring the world together through epic entertainment is the driving force behind our ambitions, and we remain steadfast in our commitment to this ideal. Thank you for joining us today, and now Coddy will review the highlights of our operations for this quarter.
That's great.
Thank you, Bobby. Activision Blizzard exceeded our third quarter outlook, driven by better-than-expected performance from Call of Duty in-game and World of Warcraft, as well as favorable cost timing. And we started Q4 with successful launches for Call of Duty Mobile and Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and achieved important milestones in several other franchises. We plan to build on this momentum and will invest this quarter to maximize the potential of our franchises in 2020 and beyond. So far this year, we've
record
increased
number of
investment and
subscription
development
plans
resources in our key franchises to drive innovation and improve performance across our 4 strategic growth pillars. We've made clear progress against each. In our first pillar, delivering a strong, consistent cadence of major new content releases, the World of Warcraft Classic launch in August drove a record quarterly increase in subscription plans, with the player base remaining elevated into Q4. Then last week at BlizzCon, Blizzard announced the next World of Warcraft expansion and sequels to both
that
Overwatch
remaining
and
elevated.
Diablo,
That means
giving
people
fans
did not unsub.
hands-on gameplay for the next major installments of some of our biggest
There it is,
franchises.
dude.
And 2 weeks ago, Activision launched Modern Warfare with exceptional early sales.
Footnote is
In our
it says
second
1
pillar,
monthly or
which
longer
is driving
sales.
live operations with ongoing in-game content, services, features, and events, we saw encouraging results from our increased focus as we continue to invest in growing our capabilities in this area. The expanded development team on World of Warcraft has sustained strong engagement within WoW Classic into Q4 as it delivered the first in a wave of substantial content updates. Black Ops 4 and in-game performance continue to benefit from our focus on delivering more compelling in-game experiences. And we saw a positive community response to our plans for Modern Warfare's in-game system.
I knew it, bro.
Our third pillar is to build on King's leadership position and extend our acclaimed console and PC franchises to mobile.
Yep.
To that end, Call of Duty Mobile has had a very strong start, shattering records following its launch.
Jay, come on.
The game's early success
Go back to
the
Classic,
significant
man.
potential of our franchises on mobile, given the powerful combination of globally beloved IP, increasingly compute and graphics-capable mobile devices, and strong execution.
Yeah.
And lastly, our fourth pillar, as we add new engagement models to our franchises, we continue to have a strong ramp in advertising and an industry-leading position.
Another league.
We are pleased with this progress on our growth pillars. There are more milestones to come in driving the business to its full potential, but we see these results as a clear indication that our increased investments are positioning us for significant future growth. I'll now provide more detail on our Q3 results and recent developments for our franchises.
Okay.
Activision monthly active users were 36 million in Q3. While lower year-over-year due to the exclusion of Destiny and a decline in Call of Duty catalog, Activision reach was better than expected.
Just cancel
This
COD.
reflected the strength of Black Ops 4 in-game content.
Yeah, just cancel COD. Problem solved.
Year-over-year growth in both reach and purchases of in-game items versus last year's title. And Call of Duty saw a surge in reach with the launch of Call of Duty Mobile on October 1st. Over 100 million people downloaded the game in its first month. The title reached the top of the mobile app download charts in over 150 countries and regions, driven by the global recognition of the franchise, strong publishing execution by the Activision team, and exceptional work by Tencent's teamy studio in creating an authentic Call of Duty experience.
Authentic.
The game has tremendous quality and
fucking
polish,
Diablo
and a
Immortal again?
4.9-star rating in the US iOS store. Monetization trends for the Battle Pass and the first seasonal event have been strong, and retention is outperforming too. Our publishing team is capitalizing on this momentum, significantly increasing our user acquisition budget to continue to grow the player base.
Mm-hmm.
Note that this investment does limit the title's Q4 profitability, but also sets up healthy contribution for the title in 2020.
Wow, that's actually a good way to think about
Call of Duty
it.
content and experience
How about
to
that?
drop on. We have a raft of features, content, and events lined up for the future of Call of Duty Mobile.
Investing in your products.
And on October 25th, our world-class development team at Infinity Ward launched Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Okay.
From the quality of the campaign to the breadth and depth of the multiplayer universe, we think Modern Warfare stands apart from any other title, and we're confident that we'll once again have the #1 console franchise globally for upfront sales this year.
Oh, 1,000 gold.
The title's
Nice.
off to a great start. First week unit sell-through is up high teens versus the prior year title,
Nice.
with strong
Yeah, 1,000
console
gold.
growth and PC units on Battle.net growing over 50% year over year. We've taken significant steps to create a single, highly engaged player base, with cross-play and cross-progression between platforms and the removal of the Season Pass. And we intend to keep the community engaged with a substantial pipeline of in-game content, which we expect will in turn create greater opportunities for player investment.
Sounds like a good idea.
Building on all this momentum, as Bobby discussed, we plan to launch the new city-based Call of Duty League in January. And we have more surprises and initiatives planned to further enhance the scale and value of the overall Call of Duty franchise in the coming quarters.
Oh,
Turning to Blizzard,
good.
monthly active users were 33 million in the third quarter, modestly higher sequentially. World of Warcraft reach almost doubled sequentially in Q3 as both existing and prior players embraced the arrival of WoW Classic, Blizzard's recreation of World of Warcraft as it all began 15 years ago.
Huh.
In Q3, Blizzard
Wow.
added more monthly and longer-term subscription plans than in any prior quarter, both in the West and the East.
Wow.
And reach remained well above prior levels in October, with deep engagement across both classic and modern World of Warcraft. And with increased resources,
Yep.
the team has already started to deliver an accelerated cadence of in-game classic content. And then for modern World of Warcraft, Blizzard last week unveiled Shadowlands, the next major expansion for the franchise, launching in 2020. The depth and breadth of World of Warcraft's appeal is clearer than ever, with the franchise set for growth in 2020. Turning to Hearthstone, as we highlighted on our last call in August, we saw a more challenging competitive landscape for the franchise in the third quarter, which drove lower reach and player investment, both sequentially and year over year. But as discussed, the expanded Hearthstone team has a substantial innovation pipeline planned for the franchise. Last week, Blizzard unveiled the latest expansion, Descent of Dragons, and also announced Battlegrounds, a unique Hearthstone take on the auto-battler genre. Battlegrounds is planned as a significant engagement driver. And with the Hearthstone team innovating at a rapid pace, we look forward to announcing additional content initiatives in the coming months. On Overwatch, while player investment remained relatively low at this stage of the game's life cycle, engagement benefited from the introduction of a new hero and well-received gameplay adjustments.
Of course the game's dead
Overwatch
because it's
League
boring.
included Season 2.
It's too
with
complex.
A sellout crowd of fans watching the San Francisco Shock defeat the Vancouver Titans in the grand finals at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia.
Stop trying to make
And
this
Season 2
this
viewership
sport
overall
shit,
grew,
Jay.
with average minute audience up 18% year over year.
Because you're buying
Blizzard last
fucking
week
and
also
betting.
revealed Overwatch 2, a major
It's
sequel
not
to the
organic.
franchise, with new heroes, maps, and gameplay.
What a joke.
This franchise's world-class multiplayer experience will take a big step forward.
What a fucking
Overwatch
joke.
2 will also introduce a significant set of new cooperative experiences,
Great.
taking players deep into the narrative of Overwatch, with a story-based gameplay for which players have long been asking, as well as a huge variety of replayable hero missions in which players can level up and customize their favorite heroes.
Just what we wanted.
The response to the reveal and hands-on gameplay from fans was excellent, and the team is looking forward to sharing further details as development progresses. And of course, Blizzard also recently revealed Diablo 4, the
Okay,
highly
here we go.
anticipated sequel for the genre-defining franchise. It's a quintessential action role-playing game reflecting Blizzard's PC gaming roots for fans on PC, as well as for players on Xbox and PlayStation.
I'm glad that it's cross-faction.
And it features an expansive
console.
open world
Platform.
in which players can explore independently, group up to play together,
Yep.
or battle each other.
I'm
BlizzCon
excited.
attendees were able to play a hands-on demo, and the feedback was great.
Yeah.
And Blizzard
That's agreed.
continues to work
Agreed.
on Diablo Immortal, a collaboration with its partner NetEase that will deliver an authentic Diablo experience on mobile, and development is progressing well. As Bobby said, this year's BlizzCon featured the most robust content pipeline in Blizzard history, and the team is working on more projects behind the scenes, including new IP.
Authentic Diablo
experience. Sharing more
experience.
with you when the time is right.
That's
Now,
what they all
turning
got
to
together
King,
and agreed on
monthly
saying.
active users were 247 million, lower year over year, driven by declines in King's web and smaller mobile titles. But importantly, on Candy Crush, King's key franchise, mobile reach grew year over year, driven by the addition of Candy Crush Friends last October. And the team continued to expand on live services, features, and content for the Candy franchise, driving reach and engagement across current, returning, and new players.
Incredible.
King also launched a number of initiatives in the quarter aimed at broadening payer engagement
mobile games
and
are huge.
longer-term monetization.
You guys don't realize that.
An encouraging uptick in payer conversion in Q3.
Payer conversion?
Which did come at some expense to in-game net bookings in the quarter.
Yeah.
All that said, Candy Crush was still and once again the top-grossing franchise in U.S. app stores.
I bet it was.
King's advertising business also continued to grow profitably, with net bookings almost doubling year over year as advertisers embrace the value proposition of a native video ad product in a safe environment. The business remains well on track to exceed 100 million in net bookings this fiscal year. So in summary, we are excited by the momentum we are seeing in many of our franchises and the growth opportunities they present.
I'm very excited too.
Q3 results reinforce the durability and potential of our franchises and our business, and our confidence that our increased investment and focus this year sets us up for meaningful growth in the future.
Let's get back to Classic, Jay.
I'll now hand the call over to Dennis to discuss our financial performance and our outlook. Dennis?
Thanks, Scotty. Today, I will review our Q3 2019 results and our outlook for Q4.
Okay.
Q3 GAAP and non-GAAP EPS were ahead of our prior outlook. Key factors included business overperformance, favorable cost timing, and a lower tax rate. To review the quarter, I'll start with our segment results. Activision revenue was $209 million, down year over year against a comparable that included the release of Destiny Forsaken. Key quarterly contributors were Call of Duty Black Ops 4 in-game and upfront revenues and ongoing sales of Crash Team Racing. Operating income was $26 million, with an operating margin of 12%.
Incredible.
Blizzard revenue was $394 million, lower year over year against a comparable that included the release of World of Warcraft, Battle for Azeroth. Operating income was $74 million, with an operating margin of 19%. King revenue of $500 million was roughly flat year over year and sequentially. Candy Crush revenues grew modestly year over year, with the ads business almost doubling over the same period. Operating income was $194 million, with an operating margin of 39%, 3 points higher year over year. Across our segments, in-game net bookings were $709 million, lower year over year, with the biggest drivers being the Battle for Azeroth and Forsaken expansions in the year-ago quarter. We are continuing to improve our execution in this area, and we are pleased with the progress we saw in Q3 for certain franchises, most notably Call of Duty. Now let's turn to our overall consolidated results. Unless otherwise indicated, I will be referencing non-GAAP figures. Please refer to our earnings release for full GAAP and non-GAAP reconciliations. For the quarter, we generated Q3 GAAP revenues of $1.28 billion, $177 million above our August guidance. This included the net recognition of deferrals of $68 million. Net bookings of $1.21 billion were $114 million above our August outlook.
Incredible.
We incurred GAAP-only restructuring and related charges of $28 million. And we generated Q3 GAAP EPS of 26 cents and Q3 non-GAAP EPS of 38 cents, which was 18 cents above guidance.
There it is.
These figures include the net recognition of deferrals of 6 cents. From a cash flow and capital structure perspective, Q3 operating cash flow was $309 million, and our cash and investments at the end of September was approximately $4.9 billion.
Incredible.
And we ended the quarter with a net cash position of approximately $2.2 billion.
Indubitably.
Now let's turn to our fourth quarter and full year outlook. Looking at the release slate, in addition to Activision's launches of Call of Duty Mobile on October 1st and Modern Warfare on October 25th, Blizzard released Overwatch on the Nintendo Switch on October 15th.
What about Classic?
And plans to release Warcraft 3 Reforged in December. Q4 will also see the release of the Descent of Dragons expansion and the open beta for the Battlegrounds mode for Hearthstone. And we will support other key franchises with a stream of content, services, events, and features. This includes our new in-game system for Modern Warfare, which begins in December, slightly later than originally planned. Before I provide our financial guidance, I'd like to provide some context. Firstly, we are more than delighted with the early results for World of Warcraft Classic, Call of Duty Mobile, and Modern Warfare. We are entering the holiday season with strong momentum, but at the same time, we wish to remain prudent as we focus on execution for the rest of the quarter.
I like that.
Secondly, as we think about positioning our franchises for growth into 2020, in some cases, such as Hearthstone, Candy Crush, and Call of Duty Mobile, we are prioritizing reach and engagement over short-term financial results in the fourth quarter.
Wow, that's
consistent with this.
I like to hear that.
A significant proportion of the Q3 earnings upside is driven by cost timing, and we intend to invest these amounts in Q4, given the abundance of potential for our franchises.
That's really
Thirdly,
good to hear.
I would also note that the ongoing shift to digital represents a timing risk factor for sell-in versus retail sell-through dynamics. And FX headwinds have modestly increased since we last provided guidance.
Yeah, I know about that.
All that said, we are raising our net bookings and EPS guidance for the full year and feel great about how the business is positioned for a return to growth in 2020.
Of course.
Now on to the numbers. For Q4 on a GAAP basis, we expect net revenues of $1.81 billion, including GAAP deferrals of $834 million. We expect net bookings of $2.65 billion. We expect product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 25%, and operating expenses, including software amortization, of 56%, and GAAP-only restructuring and related charges of $42 million. We expect a GAAP tax rate of 33%, GAAP and non-GAAP share count of 774 million, and EPS of 29 cents. For Q4 on a non-GAAP basis, we expect product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 25%, and operating expenses, including software amortization, of 48%. We expect a non-GAAP tax rate of 30% and non-GAAP EPS of 43 cents, which includes GAAP deferrals of 72 cents.
Okay.
On a GAAP basis for 2019, we expect net bookings of $6.32 billion, including GAAP deferrals of $10 million. We expect net bookings of $6.33 billion. Product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 25%, operating expenses, including software amortization of 51%, and a GAAP-only restructuring and related charge of $150 million. We expect a GAAP tax rate of 21%, GAAP and non-GAAP share count of 772 million, and EPS of $1.56. For 2019, on a non-GAAP basis, we expect product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 25%.
We can read the chart,
and operating expenses, including software amortization, of 43%.
It's
we expect
right
a non-GAAP
there.
tax rate of 20% and non-GAAP EPS of $2.13,
Fuck,
which includes
bro.
GAAP deferrals of 4 cents. So in summary, our early success for World of Warcraft Classic, Modern Warfare, and Call of Duty Mobile speaks volumes about the value and potential of our large, durable, and broad portfolio of fully owned intellectual property. And with the significant announcements we made at BlizzCon last week, you now can understand why we have been so excited about what's in our pipeline for the coming years.
Me too.
While it's not easy, creating and sustaining interactive entertainment franchises like ours is one of the biggest and largest growth opportunities in all of media. And our stable of enduring franchises gives us a strong foundation to build upon. We are encouraged by our recent progress in a number of franchises, as well as the green shoots across the rest of our portfolio. We can and will continue to maintain the disciplined operating focus that has characterized our company for many years. We remain confident that executing against our plan will position us to deliver strong results and shareholder value over the long term. Now, I welcome our business leaders, Jay, Humam, and Rob, as they join us for the Q&A portion of the call.
Okay, here we go.
Operator?
Let's go.
Thank you. If you would like to signal with questions, please press star 1 on your touch-tone telephone. If you're joining us today using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Again, that will be star 1 if you would like to ask questions. Our first question today will come from Michael Ng with Goldman Sachs.
Oh, wow, Goldman Sachs, okay.
Hi, thank you very much for the question. Just on Modern Warfare, with the absence of a season pass and with the implementation of the new in-game system, could you talk about what that means for in-game spending growth next year versus Black Ops 4? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Mike. It's Rob. I think it's really important to first talk about our overarching principles on what we're trying to do. We're focused on bringing the community together, building one big community, and keeping them playing together through great content and features.
Wow, that sounds
good. The changes that we've been making are certainly in service of those principles.
That actually sounds good.
We believe they're not only great for our players, but also for growing and sustaining long-term engagement, which of course is critical to our long-term success.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I want to talk about some of the things you mentioned and some of those changes. We did eliminate the season pass, And instead, we'll be focused on dropping free content to the community so everyone can enjoy it together. Tomorrow is actually going to be the first free content drop for Modern Warfare, and we're excited about that.
Thanks, Bobby.
And the much bigger things that are yet to come for the community. We also implemented crossplay for the first time in the franchise to keep friends playing together no matter what platform they're on.
Hell yeah.
And I think this one's actually really important, and I'm seeing it in how friend groups are connecting already. Players who haven't played Call of Duty together in years are doing so, and we think that's really great for the community overall. Now, we're also implementing a new Battle Pass system, which you mentioned, and it's going to launch later this quarter. We feel it's the right thing to do for the game and how it's designed, and more importantly, we think it's the right thing to do for our players.
Wow.
So that launch is still ahead of us, but we've been really encouraged by the early response from the community to the change that we're making there.
Look at that.
So in terms of growth, we do feel good both about our long-term engagement potential as well as the new system that we're implementing. Now I'll let Dennis speak to how we think about in-game revenue kind of this quarter and beyond.
Yeah.
But on the content side, we have plans for seasons and events that we believe will keep the community playing together for the long haul. Modern Warfare is really a great game. It's a deep experience, and we believe it's just scratching the surface of what it can do. We keep saying in many places that the launch of Modern Warfare is just the beginning, and it truly is. There's a ton more to look forward to here. Dennis, is there anything else you'd add?
Yeah, a couple points just to build on what you mentioned, Rob. I mean, the first thing is we do feel great about the in-game plans and a lot of the changes that you and the team have made. We're always, though, very careful when we're modeling these new initiatives, particularly in launch quarters like this one and with the timing of it. Overall, with the changes and sort of keeping the community together and the cross-platform and the new economic system that we have inside the game, we think that, most importantly, that's going to drive long-term engagement inside the franchise. And usually when you've got great long-term engagement, great business results follow. So we're pretty excited about what we have in store and what's coming. And we think that's going to be a nice tailwind heading into 2020 for Modern Warfare.
I bet that soulless demon at Goldman Sachs is angry at that answer.
Certainly. Our next question will come from Mike Olson with Piper Jaffray.
The fuck is that?
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. After 2019, that was maybe less robust from a pipeline perspective, and you touched on this a bit, but how would you say that investors should think about the pipeline for the company over the next 12 to 24 months? Thanks.
Okay, that's good.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. This is Cody. Well, first, as Dennis, highlighted on the call, we're sort of particularly excited to be this side of BlizzCon and to have been able to have Blizzard walk through just what's coming in the upcoming content pipeline there. And when you couple that with the initiatives underway at Activision and King, we do feel that we're looking at the strongest content pipeline that this company has had in its history. And one of the reasons
I would agree with that, actually.
Important steps that we've taken, over the last year to make that possible. The investments we've made in our development resources, the focus on our core franchises, the push
they've done a lot.
Content cadence across upfront, live operations, and mobile sits across all of our key franchises where appropriate. And we took some steps as well to make sure we could fund that by deprioritizing other areas, all in service of getting to this moment where we could show the content cadence for players coming up and deliver to expectations and above. I think the early results are a really important signpost to look at on this growth road that we are on. When you think about WoW Classic, it is a major expansion coming into that universe. In an off year, typically it's it's a every other year expansion, a major expansion that comes in and has a significant step change impact on the reach of that franchise.
Significant sub change impact.
While partnering with outside development to pull that off, we had to make significant investment inside our production and publishing capabilities.
Yeah.
Again, a step change in that franchise's reach and engagement. And then Modern Warfare, which we think stands alone in terms of an experience, and as Rob highlighted, will continue to do so. So, those aren't just sort of green shoots. Those are real signposts and milestones of the growth that we think is possible, and it points to what we think is coming. Some of which you know concretely. WoW Shadowlands coming in 2020, Hearthstone Battlegrounds, Warcraft 3 Reforged. There are items we haven't announced the dates for, but with significant moves for the community. Diablo Immortal, Diablo 4, Overwatch, and we have a similar level of investment and focus.
You didn't even say Overwatch 2.
That are at Activision and at King.
He already did. He said Overwatch.
And so it's when we step back,
it's the same game.
I feel like we're at this moment where we can take this significant pipeline forward. And really, if you want, if you're looking on the outside and you want the strongest pipeline in the industry, we think it's here at Activision Blizzard.
They do have a lot of good games coming out.
Operator, can we have the next question, please?
Our next question will come from Mario Liu with Barclays.
Hey guys, thanks for taking the question. So just one on Overwatch. I think the shared multiplayer environment you announced between Overwatch and new Overwatch 2 owners is very intriguing and unique. Anything you can share in terms of what kind of business model we can expect for Overwatch 2?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Hey, this is Jay. Thanks for the question. Last week at BlizzCon was a really big reveal for Overwatch 2 for us and the teams, and the reception has been great, and we've been really humbled by that. One of the things that you alluded to, and I think is worth really kind of articulating, is this idea that the team has around redefining a sequel, and really what does that mean? And so if you think about
putting
PvP,
a 2 next to it,
we've communicated that all the players of Overwatch will play on the same maps as players of Overwatch 2. And in other words, there'll be one map pool.
Crazy.
That we've also announced that all players will have access to the same set of heroes. And the principle for this is that no one is left behind and that we really are not splitting up the community. We've also communicated that we want to honor the collection from the existing game. And so everything that you've earned will carry forward into Overwatch 2. And the thought behind this is, we've worked hard.
People
to
spent
build
$10,000 on boxes.
And we want to move forward as
yeah, let's be real.
For PvE, as Cody talked about, we're introducing lots of content for Overwatch 2. Players have really asked for a backstory and a narrative in the Overwatch universe for
that's true.
Since the very beginning, and we're really excited to create a huge amount of playable content that really does that. And we also think this PvE content will bring entirely new players into the Overwatch universe. So the overall goal is to continue to build the largest community possible in the game with excellent content and a commitment to really continuing to release different live content than you've seen historically at a higher cadence. So
that sounds good.
Getting back to your question around the business models, we're always looking for the appropriate business model for each franchise, and at Blizzard we're lucky to have several different experiences or several different versions of different business models. I think that it's proven that players demand premium and differentiated content, and many of the Blizzard launches are premium experiences. We don't see any reason to walk away from that given what we can offer to players.
Thanks. Operator, can we have the next question?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Our next question will come from Jason Bazinet with Citi.
Is that true? Thank you,
hey
by the way, for the
it's
trinket.
Ted Cronin on for Jason. Thanks for the time. Just curious at the King segment, if you're able to provide any color on sort of where you plan to devote most of the focus going forward, just given that the KPIs for Candy Crush appear to be, perhaps a bit better than for King as a whole. Just wondering if there's any sort of trade-off between sort of maintaining the durability of Candy Crush and promoting other titles.
Okay. Another Candy Crush question.
This is Humam. So I think it's a theme that you've seen across Activision Blizzard, and I think it plays itself out quite nicely as well at King, which is we're often finding that our biggest opportunities are in our biggest franchises. I really think Candy Crush franchise is a great case in point on that. So we've increased the resources in the Candy team, and as you mentioned, the results
the Candy team
evident. I think in Q3 we had the 4th consecutive quarter where we had year-on-year.
Sounds like a Hooters private show.
And
the Candy team
for the Candy franchise.
Dude.
So really strong results.
Yes, all the Hooters waitresses is the Candy team, bro.
And I'm firmly believe that the opportunities in the Candy franchise continue to be ahead of us. We're continuing to introduce quite a bit of features and content and innovations in our live ops environment that drive player engagement, and we are expanding the network, as you see in our MAU trends. So as we continue to focus on that, I continue to see a lot more opportunity in our Candy franchise. I do want to highlight, though, that we are also selectively investing in new IP. And there we're taking an approach of fewer, bigger bets, very focused look at our pipeline.
Okay.
As you well know, launching new mobile IP is tough in the industry, but the combination of the creative talent at King and the
incredibly
sizable
hard
network that we have gives us a good advantage.
Let's take an arcade game and change it slightly.
Probably on previous calls, we talked about our advertising
and then add money.
efforts. We continue to push
lots
hard
of money
into that, and we continue to move that momentum forward.
Oh,
so all
yeah.
in all, that's the areas of focus at the King level.
Thanks, Ted. Operator, can we have the next question, please?
And moving on to Brian Nowak with Morgan Stanley.
Ask about Classic.
Hi, guys. It's Matt on for Brian. Thanks for taking the question. Can you give an update on how Call of Duty Mobile is doing in terms of attracting and retaining players now that we're a month out from launch? And are you seeing any cannibalization there with Modern Warfare? Thanks.
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Hey, Matt. It's Rob. Thanks for the question. Probably the first thing I'd want to do is just step back and say that overall, this is a pretty special time for Call of Duty across mobile, our traditional console and PC business, and across esports. You know, we're seeing significant success and traction on all fronts. With Call of Duty Mobile, you know, on your question, we've obviously have a great game, a high-quality game. We've talked about the installs, you know, over 100 million in under a month, which has been fantastic. We're seeing strong growth in many geographies like India and Brazil, more so than we've ever had in our history. And it's providing a real step change and reach for the franchise, and frankly, just growing the brand in all new ways, which is great to see.
What the fuck?
We also just had a really strong launch for Modern Warfare, which suggests we're creating a really strong franchise ecosystem globally, where these products are actually complementing one another and not competing with one another.
Okay.
This is exciting news for us on a number of fronts, including how we think about cross-promoting our products across this ecosystem, both now and I think well into the future. Now, in terms of the mobile metrics specifically, we're obviously very pleased with the installs, and we've referenced them a number of times on the call. But importantly, our retention has been really strong, and that's due to the great game quality and great game experience we have, as well as the quality of our ongoing live operations. We also have a compelling content pipeline ahead that we believe will continue to drive our business results. So right now, we feel great about where we're at, and we feel good about, and really good about our prospects for the future. But I do just want to come back and close with where I started. You know, with the success on mobile, with the success of Modern Warfare, and with the Call of Duty League launching in January, we do think the best days for the franchise are squarely in front of us. And that's a pretty cool thing to say, given all the success we've had the past 16 years. Thanks for the question, though.
Great.
Rob, hey, it's Cody. I just want to jump in at it.
Oh, great.
One is, I just note that bringing Call of Duty to mobile was one of the first and most important initiatives that Rob and his team signed up for as they kind of stepped in to new roles. And so it's a real credit to the team that you kind of reached this moment. I know
Great.
that
Call in. You guys think I should call in?
Is awesome to see, but
I'm not going to call in.
It really is just the first step. There are a number of things happening across Call of Duty to continue to expand across.
They'd probably ban me or something if I called in.
And have this as an ecosystem that's just across mobile and console and PC and esports. And so I think there's some really important and good things still to come. And
okay.
I think that's true not just for COD, but across a number of our other key franchises as well, where Call of Duty's success on mobile points the way for what's possible for some of our other AAA franchises.
Okay.
Operator, can we have the next question, please?
Okay, that's great.
And next will be Mike Hickey with the Benchmark Company.
Hey guys, congrats on your quarter. Thanks for taking my question.
Congrats on the quarter.
On Hearthstone, you share with us sort of the impact you're seeing from competition there, and how we should think about the opportunity to return the franchise to growth. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Hi,
All right.
This is Jay. You know, I think when we think about different games, and you know, we think about Hearthstone, I think it's natural to attract competitors. It's not something that we spend a lot of time thinking about. You know, I think new games bring in new players, new ideas, and it grows the industry.
That's a good question.
It's great for everybody. I also think that players will try lots of new games, but are going to come back for differentiated experiences. So
it's a good point.
We focus on making the
Yeah,
best experience we can, and then increasing the cadence of great content and great gameplay. One of the things that the industry has seen this year is the rise of the auto battler genre, and at BlizzCon,
I don't get it.
Our take on this within Hearthstone.
I don't get it.
We've already actually seen some positive response from the early audience feedback, and we're looking forward to the wider release next week. It is an engagement driver. That's the focus is on new and returning players with this mode.
Okay.
I think the Hearthstone team has really done a great job this year, and I'm super proud of what they've accomplished in a very short amount of time. They saw this as an emerging genre really early in the year, something they were really excited about, and then they pushed to add the mode to Hearthstone in a very Blizzard way, in a way that I think is going to turn out to be very cool for players.
I don't know anything about the auto battler stuff. I have no idea.
Can we have the next question, please?
And that question will come from Alex Giamma with Jefferies.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Just hoping to get a bit more color around the long-term mobile strategy within the portfolio. With COD Mobile up and running, we know Immortal is coming at some point, but would mobile make sense for any of the other tentpole franchises like a WoW or an Overwatch? Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay, here we go.
Sure, thanks, Alex. This is Cody. I guess
here we go.
First, just on mobile strategy generally, remember a third of our business is on mobile already. And,
great.
We have the largest mobile gaming presence in the West, and so we want to build on that.
Yeah, buy his stock out. Get him out of here.
We think it's a foundation of strength to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It is a massive opportunity, and we think not just for Call of Duty and not just for Diablo Immortal. And it's worth, though, pausing and talking for a moment about Call of Duty Mobile for why it's such a large opportunity. I think first it shows that
now to make your helmet.
The AAA kinds of games we make are ready to work on mobile because of the improving compute and graphics capability. Honestly, because of evolving player expectations. It's now the case that many of the most successful global games are RPG, first-person action, strategy. Those all align, as you might imagine, very well with our portfolio.
And Fortnite.
We have a growing ability to execute, and we're seeing that franchise familiarity
and Fortnite.
And awareness matter fundamentally, and to the tune of hundreds of millions of people, that when you reach out in the right way with franchises, they're willing to come in. And so that's the level of opportunity we see. In terms of what we'll make, you might imagine we're looking at all of our franchises.
Okay.
We want to do it where it makes sense, and we think about it strategically in three main buckets. The first is extending existing gameplay. This is what Call of Duty Mobile is. It's taken the best of Call of Duty, quite literally maps, weapons, characters, and it's brought that over for a mobile experience. So that's one bucket where we are looking at a number of opportunities to go do that. The second is reimagining the IP on the mobile platform. You can think about this like Hearthstone.
He's not even answering the question. He's talking about COD, like
the Warcraft IP and the card game, and that works very well on mobile. You might imagine we're pursuing a number of ideas like that, and then developing true cross-platform titles that work from the start across mobile. Some of those take time, but we are anxious to move. And you mentioned one already in the pipeline, and there are more to come. And so we're excited about rolling that out.
More to come.
Over the next several quarters.
Okay.
Thanks, Alex. Operator, can we have
okay, there we go.
And the next question will come from Ray Stockzell with Consumer Edge Research.
Great. Thanks for taking my question.
Classic WoW.
How is retention trending for World of Warcraft Classic? Yes. And can you help us think about the long-term opportunities around running a multi-track subscription model? Thanks.
Yes.
So you asked about Classic specifically, but I think it's important to note that we think of World of Warcraft as a single community. Launching WoW Classic into the existing subscription was very intentional. We made a conscious choice to have one ecosystem and one engaged base of players.
Which is smart.
The goal of that system was frictionless movement between Classic and Modern.
Yep.
So now we have a large group of players, and we have the challenge of keeping them engaged. And I think we have a number of different ways to do that. In Classic, you've already seen the first example with the Dire Maul update, which was released in mid-October. And we've seen player engagement into Q4 with subscriptions in some regions continuing to grow. We also have the added benefit for Classic with a known content roadmap for players. switching to Modern WoW, at BlizzCon we announced the next expansion with World of Warcraft Shadowlands.
Continuing
so
to grow.
More content and more flexibility than ever before. And so it's a good position for us to be in. Personally, I'm super happy with World of Warcraft and where it is. Announcing Classic 2 years ago was one of the highlights of my professional career, and to see the
I bet it was, Jay.
of the players and the joy that has kind of come from that is awesome for me personally.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ray. Operator, can we have the next question, please?
And we have a question from Robert Berg with Berenberg.
All right, Robert.
Yeah, hi, thanks for taking my question.
What do you have for us now, Robert?
The first on the next generation of consoles. We've heard from EA and Ubisoft on how they're thinking about the potential tailwind for unit sales in 2020, 2021. Interested to hear how you're currently thinking about the impact of the next generation of consoles on your business. Second question is, given some of the developments on PC and mobile recently, and with streaming coming, what are your latest views on the prospect for lower royalty rates across the industry over the medium term? Thanks.
Great question. I don't care about it at all.
Taking a step back first.
Great question.
We are increasingly seeing in the industry, and we think certainly true for our franchises, that they exist above and beyond any single platform. That they are franchises that appeal broadly across multiple platforms. As mentioned, this we believe now is eminently true on Call of Duty across PC, console, and mobile. And if you go back several years ago, that wouldn't have been true for Call of Duty. We have robust growth across all three of those. Overwatch, of course, across PC and console meaningfully, and Hearthstone across PC and mobile meaningfully. So I would first just start with the premise that we are well above any individual console change, and it is about the broader nature of our franchise across multiple platforms. Of course, all that said, we're excited when large partners want to come in.
I'm disappointed it wasn't a better
platforms.
ringtone.
So that includes consoles, and as the next gen,
it's good enough.
Looks to be getting ready, we think it's an opportunity to continue to showcase our premium experiences. We also think increasingly you see consoles being iterative, and that gives us the opportunity, we believe, to keep our communities together. It's why we've made such strong investments to keep communities playing together and either put
they're finally learning
that we're doing so, and we think that continues with this console generation.
It's good to see.
I just remind you that consoles are only about a third of our business, maybe different from some of our competitors, and so we kind of see ourselves having robust growth pipelines across all the large platforms out there. You asked finally just about economics, and look, we always look to bring our IP to bear on appropriate large platforms as long as the economics are right. I would not get into specifics about royalties at this stage, but we have a long track record of making sure that our IP is fully understood and valued by our partners. And I think the broadest point to remember is right now you have a lot of well-funded platforms coming in, looking to build out gaming reach, and they are looking for great content, and they're short of it. And we find ourselves, we think, very fortunate and well-positioned to have great content to bring to bear, and we think that sets us up very well for the next several years.
Incredible.
Thanks, Rob. Operator, we have time for one last question.
Incredible.
Certainly. That question will come from Colin Sebastian with Baird.
Thank you. One question, please. Wondering what you took away from the Overwatch esports experience and ramp in terms of applying that knowledge to the Call of Duty League.
I know what they didn't take away is money.
Thank you.
Probably losing so much money on Overwatch League.
Sure, thanks, Colin. It's
Shit
Bobby.
gets no viewers.
Well, as you can imagine, we've learned a lot.
Nobody gives a
Probably
fuck.
the most important thing is that we underestimated things like the demand for the broadcast rights, sponsorships, even on the licensing front. I think we also underestimated the enthusiasm that we would have from prospective owners, which is why the price of the teams went up so much over the 2-year period.
What about the players, the viewers?
And then I think operationally we had the benefit of 2 years in a fixed location to really think about how to optimize production.
Yeah.
But as we go out into the local markets next year, which is the big point of differentiation for us in our views between us and anybody else that's thinking about esports, is really engaging these great local entrepreneurs and professional team owners or professional groups in actually generating revenues, marketing, new fans, new opportunities for fans to connect to their favorite players. And so, what we've learned over the last couple of years is serving us incredibly well as we launch the Call of Duty League. And in fact, most of the owners are existing owners, and most of them have jumped in at prices that are higher significantly than what they paid for their Overwatch teams. And I think we're going to get the benefits of scale of being the biggest operator of a professional esports league anywhere in the world. The other thing I think is we probably didn't appreciate how big the viewing audience was. And if you look at the demographic that we serve, principally 18 to 34-year-olds, the audience that we're serving on a global basis is bigger than the MLS for that demographic or Major League Baseball for that demographic. So,
for that demographic,
opportunity for sponsors, for advertisers,
18-year-olds don't watch baseball.
For our licensing partners, to be able to reach an audience that has become increasingly
nobody watches baseball.
So I think from every perspective, not only have we learned a lot, but I think what we've done in terms of execution is the best that anybody has expected or seen in professional esports. And so, when you then think about what's happening in these franchises, whether it's the
give me a break.
Overwatch 2,
yeah, right,
or
dude.
The new 100 million consumers that just came into the Call of Duty marketplace and community, we're seeing an incredible amount of growth in both the opportunity for spectators, but also in audience that we'll be able to reach for our sponsors, our broadcast partners, advertisers. And so when you look out over the course of the next 12 to 24 months, there will just be a lot bigger ecosystem for us to be able to take advantage of, and a lot more of an audience for our players, our professional players, to be celebrated by and recognized by. And so, we couldn't be more pleased with the progress that we've been making, and I think all these initiatives that are expanding the communities of our franchises will just serve us better as we move into the local markets.
I'm sorry, but I just...
Thanks, Bobby, and thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We'll look forward to hopefully seeing many of you in-game over the coming months, and then back here in early February when we release our end-of-year results. So thanks.
Okay.
Well, thank you. That does conclude today's conference. We do thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. So, where's the elevator music? I thought we were supposed to get elevator music at the end of it. They were supposed to play the elevator music. What the fuck happened? Okay, I guess they're not going to do that. Wow, we got fucking scammed. So, honestly, the investment call this time around actually seems really promising. I mean, the things that they're focusing on and, making, like, kind of as, like, bullet points, I think are the right things for them to make and focus on and make as bullet points. The truth is that it seems like Blizzard is doing the right shit. And I know that might upset you guys, because, like, we're so used to shitting on Blizzard. But even Bobby was saying some good shit. Even Bobby. That doesn't happen a whole lot. And I'm glad. Classic WoW subs still growing now. That's fucking insane. It is. That is fucking insane. I can't even believe it, man. Like, it's a massive accomplishment. It's a huge, incredible accomplishment that Blizzard has had. Fake news, they're not going to just lie straight out in the investor meeting.